I can see this going a little bit off the rails given some of the conversations that we've had. But we'll start off. There were 3 picks really in the opening round that I think people were scrutinizing. The first one, the one that everyone is going crazy about, is Michael Penix at 8. Now, it seems there were reports that maybe Seattle wanted to trade up. Those have since been denied. The Raiders clearly wanted Michael Penix. There was actually an agreement. I don't know if you guys saw this, but Sean Payton said there was an agreement between the Vikings, Raiders, and Broncos where they figured out that the Vikings wanted McCarthy, the Raiders wanted Penix, and the Broncos wanted Bo Nix. After the Giants took Neighbors, they got on a conference call and Sean Payton basically said, guys, let's not go crazy trying to trade up and go past each other. These are the 3 guys we want. And they all agree. There was almost like this little truce between the 3 of them before the Falcons went and took Penix at 8 and everything got thrown. And that's why the Vikings were trading up. That's why the Broncos were looking to. He said it was a crazy 10 to 20 minutes.
Oh, so the Raiders wanted Penix.
The Raiders wanted Penix.
I don't even know this.
Oh, yeah. No. I just said this is all coming out recently, but the Broncos, Vikings, and Raiders had a truce there, and it all got screwed up by Michael Penix going at 8 to the Falcons, which really no one saw coming until I think Rappaport said during the draft, he's like, Michael Penix is in play here. Don't be surprised if he's the name that's turned in. So when you found out, we'll go to you first, Jack, because you were the one initially who had the Falcons doing something ridiculous. You had them taking Brock Bowers. Now,
hey, look at the Raiders.
Oh, no, I understand.
Two good tight ends, Mayer and Bowers.
We'll get there. But with Michael Penix to Atlanta, when you first saw that, what was your initial reaction?
My initial reaction was, well, I was cross-eyed. No, okay.
His initial reaction was, who are the Falcons?
Yeah. Initial reaction was, wait, Atlanta's a football team? No, the initial reaction was, oh, that's kind of weird. They just paid Cousins a lot of money, and now they're taking Penix. But I mean, I've kind of come around to the other side now.
Oh,
and I don't hate it anymore. I mean, we're always talking about how it's so important to have a QB.
Mm-hmm.
Kirk Cousins is 36 years old, 35 years
35.
old. Yeah. So if he's out, what's your plan for the future? All right, now you get Michael Penix, a good first round quarterback. And everyone's going to be saying, oh, he'll start when he's 26, 27. Who cares? I mean, Rodgers sat behind Favre. Love sat behind Rodgers. Why not get your quarterback of the future?
If you love him.
If you like him a lot. Sit behind Cousins, who has 2 years left? Then why not bring in Penix?
My guess is that Ziggy does not agree with that opinion.
So
he's 26 when he started.
I'm of 2 minds about this, right? So first, the Jordan Love comparison is really silly, right? Jordan Love is he's like a year and a half older than Michael Penix. So there's certainly the age and history concern. And I worry about, Kirk Cousins as a guy, he likes being the big boss. He likes the security. This is why he's always gone for these fully guaranteed contracts. You are rocking the boat in a big way to the guy you just made a 2-year commitment to by drafting this guy behind him.
You're not.
Well, I mean, you just are.
It's not a competition. Penix, he's not the starting quarterback.
No, but Kirk Cousins is no longer the undisputed leader of this team. Right, Kirk Cousins is no longer the guy. He's the guy until he has a bad game, and then we need to start Penix.
Kirk Cousins, or maybe had like string of games or seasons.
I think it's planning for the future.
But if you're planning, this is what I don't understand. Right, is planning for the future makes sense, but you don't have to go out and sign Kirk Cousins to a monster deal and then draft an old injury-prone quarterback behind him. Now, look, I don't think the pick's terrible, right? I'm not saying they shouldn't have done this. I'm saying that the 2 moves together of drafting Penix and signing Kirk Cousins to a huge deal don't go well together at all.
Well, Cousins even came out. Apparently, I think the quotes were frustrated and confused.
Well, I mean, the reason he left the Vikings is because we were going to draft a quarterback behind him, and he wanted to be the undisputed guy.
And he wants to win a Super Bowl. And you're sitting there with the 10th pick, and it's not like we have to remember Atlanta's done some questionable things with their first round picks over the past few years. Pitts, Bijan, people have looked at the Falcons drafts recently and there's usually 2 camps. People love it or people hate it. But the thing is, when you're Kirk Cousins right now, I'm sitting back here thinking to myself, we had the 8th pick in the draft. There's a few holes on this defense, or there's some offensive play. Rome Odunze's there too. We can help out by getting an impact player right now. And instead, it is similar to the Packers in that sense. The difference is the Packers were picking in the 20s when they made these selections. The Falcons were at 8, and they had a chance at, Dallas Turner was there. The corners were there. You had Odunze. And to pass up on all those guys who can make an impact to win the Super Bowl right now, which is the goal of Kirk Cousins and the Falcons. I don't think anyone in Atlanta, no one in the front office in Atlanta would say the goal this season is anything short of a Super Bowl-esque run. That's why I think people are so or would be frustrated. They say, okay, so we're just going to sit him, and like, why are we not investing in now when we just gave $140-60 million to Kirk?
Yeah, I get it. Like, I get it on that side as well, and why Kirk would be confused. That all makes sense.
But here's sort of the thing to think about, right?
Yeah.
There's three outcomes you can get with a rookie quarterback. One is they're no good. The second is they're decent. And the third is they're one of the best in the NFL, right? Those are sort of the three outcomes you can get. So, like, how does that actually play out? If they're terrible, they're terrible. It doesn't matter when you drafted them or for how long they sit. If they're not going to be good, they're probably not going to be good. If they were going to be decent, then you want to take advantage of that rookie contract window when you're not paying them a lot of money. And then you move on when it's time to sign to a big deal, or else you're stuck where like the Giants are with Daniel Jones. Right, like the Tua Dolphin years. Tua wasn't elite, but he was pretty good, and they were able to put a lot of good pieces around him, win a lot of games. And if they're elite, they're elite. It doesn't matter when you sort of start them. But by leaving Penix on the bench for a year and a half, 2 years, you're limiting those cheap, cost-controlled years. So you're really counting on him to be the elite guy. And it's just not likely he's going to become that, because it's not likely any quarterback's going to become that.
But look, what goes on in Atlanta's mind, in my eyes, is what has happened with teams like the Steelers. When you have an old Big Ben, then your quarterback play stinks for the next 4 years. And the Giants, after Eli Manning, your quarterback play stinks for the next 5 years. And the Pats, after Tom Brady, your quarterback play stinks for the next 5 years. Why not take a quarterback who you think could be very good? And then when Kirk Cousins is aging and a fossil in a couple of years, you have Michael Penix.
I actually liked it. I actually
liked it. I don't think it's a bad pick at all. I came around. First I'm like, what the heck? But now I'm like, I like this pick.
No, I actually think I'm with you. Now, I have my own hesitations with Penix. I'm actually okay with the injury. He played all year at Washington. But yeah, no, I think you're right in that regard, where Kirk will get over it. Yeah, Kirk will eventually move.
Yeah, he's their starting QB. It's not like a competition.
No, but it's still not a great look that even before he's played a game, they're already showing like, okay, we're thinking about moving on from you.
35.
I think, yeah, no, he's 35. But I mean, I think it's bad to start off on that footing between the two, to not even talk to him about it. Or like, he found out.
I disagree with that. I disagree with that.
I think they should have done that.
Yes.
But in terms of taking Penix, I actually think, Kirk is going to be a great mentor to have once he gets over it, which he will. He's making $160 million. Once he gets over it, I can't think of many better mentors for a young quarterback than Kirk Cousins. From the way he plays, from the way he studies, from the way he treats his teammates. And then onward from there, they did address the D line with the next 3 picks, around 2, 3, 4. Like Atlanta, they tried to salvage it. So I'm actually okay with the Penix pick. I do think if I were in that room, I probably would have gone with Dallas Turner or someone, but I wasn't sitting back going, wow, they're idiots. Like, a lot of people are just calling them straight up idiots. And I don't think that's necessary.
No, I wish they had handled it a little bit more elegantly, and I wonder whether they did the offseason perfectly. But all things considered, it's not a bad pick. I think you're just limiting some of the upside. Yes. But look, if he's good, if he's that guy, I think unless you have that guy quarterback, you should be taking as many bites as you can reasonably get at that apple. Keep taking quarterbacks. Go ahead.
I think this might be one of the few shows, seriously, in the country that had almost unanimous support for the pick. Like, there's definitely, we have our issues.
Yeah, I mean,
which could be an issue, which could show that Atlanta really screwed up.
We got to get some Falcons fans in our comments here showing us praise.
Yeah.
We'll get him with this.